We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
There will be conflict. We will seek to prevent them and avoid them, but never at the expense of our national security, never at the expense of our national interest, and never at the expense of our core values as a nation and as a people.
Donald Trump has made a promise to Americans and given a mandate to his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, America first. It's a promise built on months of threats to his NATO allies, chiefly that those who fall short on defense spending may be left behind. Earlier, I spoke with Canada's top soldier, Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Jennie Carignan, on Canada's path to meet Trump's demands and her own mandate leading this country's military. Hi, General Carignan. Welcome back to the studio. Thank you very much for making the time.
Thanks for having me, Vassy.
I wanted to start off on some questions, not so much inwardly focused, but in particular about the times that we're in right now in the election of U.S. President Donald Trump. And in particular, his promise, his explicit promise to, quote, end wokeism in the U.S. military. You're the first woman to hold the position you do. What is your response to that?
I'm really focused on what we need to do here in Canada, and very focused on addressing professional conduct within our organization, so that will continue to be at the forefront of our mandate. Why? Because building strong teams is what we are all about. So really, this is what I'm focusing on.
I guess from a public perspective, though, we're going to be inundated with messages around that. And I think Canadians are interested to know from you about the way in which you will lead our military versus that kind of the kind of rhetoric that's being employed there. So, and I know you've responded previously, for example, to his nominee talking about how women shouldn't be in combat. He seems to have reversed that position. Like, are you concerned at all that kind of rhetoric will trickle down into society here in Canada and impact our military in any way?
So I think within our military, I sense a sense of pride for who we are and what we are about, and how we actually reach out to all Canadians to be part of the military. So we need to leverage 100% of Canadians to contribute to their defense and to the military. So within the ranks, we have definitely, this is what I'm observing anyways from my interaction with our troops. There's a great sense of pride for who we are and how we have progressed over the last few years.
Are you still having as big of an issue with recruitment as you were a year ago when you're about 15,000 people short?
So we do have challenges in recruitment, and we are working this very, very closely. In fact, this is one of my top priorities. We have dedicated a lot of time in understanding the barriers, the issues, and we have designed new innovative manners into which to streamline the process. But it's also about creating opportunities to get the military better known in the various communities. It's also about digitizing our processes and modernizing our standards. So we've done a lot of that, and we are already starting to see a difference in our enrollment rate. So just to give you an example, as of today, we are at just over 80% of our target for the full year, and usually by the end of the year, in the last few years, we've been recruiting 60 to 65% of our target. With a couple months more to go in the year, we are cautiously optimistic that we will be close to our target, if not over.
And what is the goal? Like, what's the target? How soon, for Canadians watching, will we have a military that is at full capacity or at full strength? I think it's important to people right now, particularly when they look at many of the threats emerging around the world.
For sure. So extremely important that we get back up to our full strength as early as possible, and also that we create the expansion, because we also have plans for expansion for 14,500 additional positions. So we are in expansion mode, and we are expediting, accelerating the rhythm by which we will go back to full strength. So this means that we are crafting the way for a few horizons, but we also need to ensure that we design the follow-on training in a very effective manner, because there's no point recruiting people if you don't build the capacity to train them to reach their qualifications. So again, this is ongoing. So we are managing the targets. So this year we have a target of 6,500 regulars. Next year the target will be higher as we build the training part that follows on the recruitment.
So can I ask bluntly then, like how long until, if you are able to meet your targets, the military would be at full capacity? And I mean, no disrespect to you, but I've interviewed many people in your position who have made similar promises that never came to fruition.
Yeah, we have changed many of our processes, as I said, and then we are seeing a difference in the uptake and onboarding of new Canadian Armed Forces members. We have basically stopped the downward trend, so we are on an upward trend at the moment, and by reaching our target this year, that will put us in a better situation this year, and then again, moving on and keeping improving our processes, learning from what has worked well this year, and then consistently improving our processes going forward. So, yeah.
The rate of spending on our military, and more largely on defense in this country, has been the subject of much discussion and debate, particularly over the last year and a half, but for many years now, especially as it relates to NATO. Do you think that it is possible to accelerate, in your view, the target, for the sort of timeline, rather, for reaching the NATO target, which is now set out to 2032? Do you think Canada could do it faster?
It's absolutely possible, and this is what we have been working on since I've come on board. Like with the announcement of the 2% GDP by 2032, we have conducted an analysis to ensure that we could bring in capabilities and the spending earlier. Why? Because the longer we wait, the less we can get for the same amount of money. So this is a very simple fact. Inflation.
We all deal with it.
And so again, the faster we can tap into the investments and the 2% investments, the faster we can work on the transformation and modernization that we need to do.
And when you say it's possible, do you mean that you, as the Chief of Defense Staff in the military, have come up with ways in which that can happen and presented them to government, or how is that working? Because ultimately, it's government that sets out the spending plan.
Correct. So the Deputy Minister and I are working very closely on that. We have prepared options and recommendations, and we are in the process of presenting them.
How soon do you think we could reach 2% based on what you've analyzed?
It's hard to tell for sure. So again, we have a few unknown in terms of costing because the work is not all finalized. But again, we're going to have to work on a few horizons. So there are capabilities that the technology is not ready, so it will need to be planned in the longer term. So we're going to be working on various horizons to make sure that what we put forward can actually happen within those objectives.
But bottom line, you do believe there is a way to get to 2% before 2032?
Absolutely.
And when it comes to the sort of primacy that the new president, the president is placing right now on spending vis-a-vis the larger alliance as NATO is concerned, do you feel that the alliance itself is in jeopardy right now?
I feel, again, from a military perspective...
Or are you worried?
Yes. From a military perspective, in fact, I'm just coming out of NATO meetings last week. The military-to-military collaboration is very solid. We've been working together for many years, especially with our American colleagues via NORAD, we were together in Afghanistan, we were together within NATO and the Indo-Pacific and so on. So collectively, as NATO colleagues on the military side, we rely a lot on each other's partnership and support. So to me, this is not a source of great concern.
Not even on the political side, given what we've heard?
Well, again, on the political side, we will be ready to react to any change, but again, it's getting together to manage what the change is and how we adapt to it.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. General Carignan, I appreciate the time very much today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vassy.